Hey, what's happening, everybody? It's Nick from Lone Star Boot Reviews, and I'm here with William Miller and Marc Cruz from Way Out West Boots. How are you guys doing today?
Great, great.
Doing great. Thank you, Nick.
So William owns the company, and Marc is his master boot maker, and they do some fantastic work. William showed me a little bit of it here a few minutes ago, and I was blown away at the quality and the craftsmanship. And we'll be showing you a few samples here in a little bit as well. William, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself and let everybody know how you got into the boot business?
My name is William Miller. I was raised in the boot business. My parents had a Western store out in Lubbock, Texas. I've been doing this since I was about 15 or so. I met Marc in Las Vegas. I was doing the Academy Country Music Award show, and Marc was set up there in a booth, and I saw his boots out of the corner of my eye, and I knew that he was a spectacular maker. And right then we worked a deal out where I measure him and show some designs and things, and then of course he's the master. He's the one that does all the magic and puts it together and makes them look awesome. My part's the easy part.
Yeah.
He's got the hard job. But yeah, he makes an excellent handmade boot. I couldn't be happier with him or the product. Yeah.
Marc, how long have you been doing this?
Well, officially, I would say since 1994. My dad started making boots in 1950. His uncle taught him how to make boots. And then in high school, I had some summers where I kind of worked making boots, but back then my plan was to become a professional baseball player, just like a lot of kids, and it didn't happen. And I walked on to New Mexico State University, and I made the team. I was a pitcher, but I hurt my arm, and I couldn't go any longer. And so I quit and kept on going to school. But in 1990, I went back to making boots with my dad. My dad just passed away in July. He was 85 years old. It was a struggle. He had dementia and other health issues, but he was a fighter. Very well known in the El Paso area. Just a master boot maker. He became a specialist, just because he had to make money for his family, and became a specialist, bottom work specialist. Anyway, so that's what I did. In 1994, I graduated in '93, and I decided that my dad's name had to be out there, and so we came up with J&M Custom Boots, and mainly we've been doing wholesale. We did Santa Fe from '94 to 2009. We were the makers of Tom Taylor, and Dad died away. Tom passed away, and then Gene sold his store, and it died out in 2009. And then I noticed that my dad's health was getting bad, and I became a teacher, by the way. I taught high school math, and I was a football and baseball coach for 20 years. And I decided to leave that and go full time with the boots in 2013, because I could see how my dad was getting, he was diminishing. Anyways, so I went full time, and it's been a struggle, but I think my dad's name has gone out there, and slowly but surely. And I went out to Vegas, like William said, and I met him, and I think it was 16.
Mm-hmm.
William, I believe so.
15.
And
yeah.
15. And so, he's done a hell of a job. He says that I do the hard part. sales is a huge thing. You know, it's about having a relationship with your customer. Custom boots, handmade, authentic boots. It's about having relationship with your customers, and he does a hell of a job with that. And I admire him for everything that he's done. And you know, we had some struggles initially with the measuring, but I think we got it down now. My goal has always been 90% or better, because things go wrong, you know.
Sure.
I mean, it's, you know, it's handmade, you know, human nature. I mean, you make mistakes. And I think we've been above 90% since we started making boots together. And I hope it continues, you know.
Yeah, for sure. It's interesting your background. I actually played baseball. I was a pitcher at Dallas Baptist University.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, I played in the mid '90s, and I didn't hurt myself, but I just wasn't good enough to continue after that. So,
You know, I tell you, from high school to college, it's just the level
mhm.
of talent is just, it's amazing.
Yeah,
And
and it seems like every level you go up as a pitcher, you're facing every #3 batter you faced before. You know,
yeah,
going from high school to
yeah,
college and then college of the pros, same thing.
oh yeah. And I
Yeah,
played with great talent. You know, out of those 20 some guys that I played with, I'm talking maybe 5 to 8 guys went on and played
yeah,
major ball, you know.
yeah,
And so
yeah. That's
I was
same
just
with me. There were some fantastic players. A
yeah,
lot
I was
better than I
blessed.
was.
Yeah, but you know, things, I wouldn't be here
That's
if I
right.
wouldn't have hurt, you know.
That's right.
And so, you know, I was blessed to teach and coach for 20 years. That was my full-time job, and then I would come home and make boots at night.
Sure.
And you know, so it was great. It was a great
Yeah,
run.
that's awesome. Well, Mark, let me ask you, what is your favorite hide to work with when you're making a boot?
Uh, you know, you can't go wrong with a good calf or a good kangaroo. You just can't. Whether you're working it or whether you're wearing it, it's just amazing leather. Um, Ostrich is probably the best wearing leather, I think, but it's tough to work. Um, you know, I'm sure William knows ostrich and kangaroo. They have extra fibers, and so it's just tough leather,
Hmm.
and everything
But
depends.
extremely soft, both of them.
Yes, at the same time,
Yeah.
and so it depends on the tanning process, you know. But it seems like ostrich hasn't been tanned the way it used to. So when you last it, you got to really work it. And some
Okay.
people, they just don't want to work with it because sometimes you get, you know, you just don't know what you're gonna get, and it just goes or it won't go.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
you can't go wrong with calf and kangaroo, you
Okay.
know. Uh, I'm sure there's others, but right now, I mean, that's the first thing that I
Yeah.
thought of, you
Yeah.
know.
Right. Let me ask you, William was showing me some of his boots in a toe box that he actually designed that you've been making, kind of a cutter toe. I'll show that. See if you can put it right up here. You'll be able to see here.
Bring it up a little.
Yeah, let's see here. You guys
Yeah.
can see that
Yes.
toe.
Yeah. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
The,
That,
the, the, the front of it is a little different. It's not quite as round or moon shaped as a lot of other ones. And then at the same time, you can see it's undercut where it's slanted in towards the sole as opposed to coming straight down, which is really cool.
right.
So
Yeah, go
I
ahead.
think that's just awesome. But I was going to ask you what your favorite style of boot to make is. You know, What's the one that you think looks the best, I guess is what I should say, out of the ones you made?
You know, I love all of them.
Yeah.
But, you know,
I understand
this
that.
this is a lot of work. If you don't get excited with every pair of boot that you make, then you know I should go back to teaching. You know,
Sure.
Exactly.
but
Exactly.
I guess I would say it would be we call it the Matador, but I think most people call it the two-piece Wellington, which is this guy right
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
You know, it looks elegant. It feels great when you put it on. You know, there's no seams.
Mhm.
It just once it goes in, it just you know,
Yeah.
one of those. And
So
so
that's 2 pieces instead of 4, right? There's not
right,
really a separation between the top and the vamp.
right, right. Yeah,
Yeah.
this is what the front and the back, and of course you got to crimp the front side. And you know, sometimes it depends on the leather. The crimping part is can get tough. We use crimping boards still. I don't know about other people if they have machines or modern crimping boards or whatever, but we still use, you know, our wooden crimping boards, and I got to make some new ones because these are ready to go out. They're, you know, they could be over 50 years old. I don't know, but
Can you explain? I mean, I'm a little ignorant to it as well, but what exactly do you mean by crimping?
you bend the leather. It's
Okay.
basically the leather. You
Okay.
got to bend it. You got to make this happen before you actually
Yeah.
last the boot. And
Yeah.
so this whole part here, this whole part here, this whole part here has to bend, you
Yeah.
know?
I mean,
And so that's the hard part. And I'm sure there's people out there that still make this, you know, the top dogs or whatever, but very few people do it nowadays. But I think that would be my favorite boot.
yeah.
I don't own one. I don't have the time or the resources to make me a pair of boots, but
But
those are
that'd
my,
be the one
I
if you
guess.
did.
Yes, yes.
William here actually was showing me, he's got a picture. I hope it comes through. It's not going to come through. Wait, let me see. There we go. This is
There it is.
during the process of the crimping.
Right, right. As a matter of fact, I think those are, well, no, I think those were made for the gentleman from William, that one gentleman from,
Australia.
yes,
Yep.
yes.
Wow.
Andrew, I believe his name was,
And
and
Andrew Spinelli.
yes,
Yep.
yes,
Wow.
yes.
That's awesome. Can you walk me down, you know, the different steps that you have to take to actually make a custom pair of boots? Just, you know, in quick general terms, you don't have to go into great detail, but I'd just like to, you know, have everybody understand, you know, how much effort actually goes into these.
Well, it's a lot of effort. It's at least 40 hours when you do it by hand. You know, nowadays there's shortcuts, there's machines and stuff, but if you keep it authentic, it's I'd say about 40 hours maybe. And you know, of course, first thing is you measure your feet. You measure the feet. Um, you make the design with your customer. You know, what is it that the customer wants? You know, you work together and you figure out what it is that you're going to do. Then you fix the last, you know, custom
Mhm.
last. Um,
So do you make one of those for every single customer?
yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And so you fix the last depending on the toe, because like this toe, I would do a CC toe with this custom toe that I
Right.
made. Okay, but our standard toe on the last. Our standard toe is a French toe. I don't know if you can see it.
Sure.
The French toe,
That's-
and what we call the BW toe, which is
Okay.
a round. Okay. Anything else?
Can you hand me that French toe so I can show? If you're curious about what a French toe looks like in the final product, it's like this. It's a little more square than, you know, an R toe or a round toe, but it's not like, you know, the popular wide square toes that are out nowadays. It's a really classic look. That's probably one of my favorite toe shapes right there.
And according to my dad, according to him, he introduced the French toe to the boot industry. Whether it's true or not, I don't know. But Ben Miller asked him to make a different toe for him, and he introduced the French toe.
Wow.
This was back in 1960 something, early 60s. You know, whether he was bullshitting me or not, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
No, but I don't see why he would. You know, but anyways.
Yeah.
Okay, so once once you get the measurements and you get the fit on the last, then you start the building process, and we buy bins. We buy the bins, and we cut them by hand. Can you hear me? Okay.
Yes, sir.
And we build the insole on the last.
Okay.
So you wet the leather and you build it, and this is basically the foundation of your boot.
Mm-hmm.
all by hand.
And so
I'm assuming you would bend it and put it on there, and then you would start to carve and shape it.
you carve and shape, and then I do this before the lasting because I was never a specialist, a laster specialist, and so my dad wouldn't do this before the lasting, but I do because I just, you know, in baseball, what they say, or even in golf, takes about a 1,000 or 10,000 cuts before you get that, you know,
Yeah.
what's it called? That memory, muscle memory,
Mm-hmm.
right? Well, it's the same thing with this. So, so I do this and I get it ready for the inseaming. So I make the little groove, I make the little holes with my awl. I use my awl. You know, I mark it because it's easier for me.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's ready to last.
Okay.
So after the tops are done, and actually I got a surprise for William.
Okay.
Let me bring some other tops that we made.
Oh,
And we worked hard to get these done for today.
Whoa.
oh, oh,
Wow.
oh, 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 oh.
That's pretty special right
Oh my goodness, look at that. Oh, oh.
Want you to know I haven't stopped working since Monday of last week to get this done. But surprise,
there.
William.
Awesome.
Wow. That's amazing.
That is awesome looking.
So once the tops are done and the foundation is done, then now you get it ready to get it last. And of course you gotta wet the leather to do that. Okay.
That's exciting.
Yeah, that was awesome.
I'll check this thing.
This one has been lasted. The toes are done.
Mm-hmm.
And after this comes the ensemi.
Matador.
Yeah.
We like the Matadors.
This little strip of leather is called the welt. We're going to sew by hand. We're going to sew it onto here. Remember the little holes I showed you?
Mm-hmm.
That's going to go right there.
Okay.
And this is basically what keeps everything together,
Mm-hmm.
you know? And again, I'm going to use my awl. Now this guy, this is very important. This is hand wax. This, I might have another piece that my dad made. And that's the only thing that I didn't get to learn from him. And I need to find the formula to make. I know there's people out there that know how to do it. But this little thing keeps everything together. Okay. And we make our threads as well.
Wow.
I got a video of that. Make their own instinct thread.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so this is a little piece of guitar line.
Okay.
And I use that as my little needles.
Gotcha.
Okay. And this is my thread here. These are called wax stands right here. Let me see if I have a better one over here.
It's just amazing.
Yeah. I never would have thought he's making his own thread.
Yeah, I've got a video of his dad making it. I'll show you.
I don't know if you can see that or not.
Yeah.
I'm keeping these because these are the last that my dad made.
Okay.
Okay. And so we used to buy this. I don't know if you can see it or not.
Shoe threads.
Shoe thread. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No, nobody
Yeah,
sells
yeah.
it. I can't find it. If you guys can find it for me, I'd appreciate it.
Okay.
Okay. But a friend of my dad's had some of these. And so I still have about maybe 10 pair in here. And that's what I'm using. But this is the real deal.
Wow.
Yeah. And so that's one of the biggest differences in the handmade boot, because now they have welt machines. You know?
Right.
It'll take me an hour to do the ensemming, or an hour and a half, depends on my back. And then it would take me about half an hour to do the thread and the wax ends, you know, so it takes a while. Whereas a welt machine, you'll do it in 10 minutes or less, you know.
I have a quick question for you.
Yes,
After
sir.
you stretch the last, or, you know, hand last the boot, stretch leather over the last, do you then sew the underneath side or tack it in? I guess I'm wondering, how do you get the last out of the boot after it's stretched?
So right now I got a bunch of tacks holding it to the last. Once I do the inseam, then now it's holding on to the insole.
Okay.
So the insole is holding on to the lining and the vamp.
Okay.
Okay. I take these tacks out and I use pegs. I use wooden
Okay.
pegs.
Mm-hmm.
I got a good picture of that too.
So now it's ready for the outsole.
Okay.
Okay. So once the welt is on, once I do the pegging here, I put the shank, and I forgot a shank to show you. Put in the shank cover, the rands. You don't have to do the rands, but I got used to the rands. Put on the rands, you put on the outsole, and then you stitch. And then you stitch the welt onto the outsole.
Okay.
Okay. Now, after you do that, then you peg it.
Mm-hmm.
Which way? This way.
Yeah.
Then you peg it here, and it
Mm-hmm.
goes all the way around. The pegging goes all the way around. It doesn't go just, from here to.
Right.
And then you let it dry. You got to let it dry.
Okay.
And now if you want to pull out the last, you can. I don't. I leave it in there.
Okay.
I build the heels first before I pull out the last, so that I can sand down the pegs inside the insole.
Okay. Here's a picture of it kind of during the process.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, so when it is time to remove the last, you just stick your hand in there and pull it out like you would pull out a foot?
No, I
Hard.
got one of these. I got one of these,
Okay.
but it's custom made. It's curved. It's got a curve. It's got like a 60 degree this way, and then it goes
Okay.
90 that way. So that when you pull, you put it into the last, you pull it out, the last stays on here, but the
Okay.
boot comes off.
Gotcha.
Okay. That's in my dad's shop. I'm
Okay.
in my garage right now, in my little shop.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. So you just showed that tool to pull the last out. What other kind of tools do you use? I would assume to cut out inlays and stuff, you use some kind of razor knife or a razor blade. And then,
Well, just an X-Acto knife is what I use
yeah.
for cut. This one will last me a whole year probably. I lost my word. I work on the edge or whatever.
Uh-huh.
And this guy is my skiver.
Okay.
Wow.
And
This
what
looks
exactly
like-
is skiving?
Skiving is when you thin out the edge of the leather. So,
Okay.
for
Kind of
example,
cut it at an angle to make it thinner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
you're slicing it,
Yeah, most people do that with a machine.
Yeah.
because leather, like elephant is pretty thick. It's,
Gotcha.
5 to 7 ounce. I don't know if you can see it.
Yeah.
It's pretty thick, right?
Uh-huh.
So we skive it here so that it's not as thick and bulky there, and it doesn't look,
Yeah.
it doesn't look fine. It wouldn't look fine if we don't skive it.
Gotcha.
Same with the inlays,
Mhm.
like this one was, I could have finished off a bottle of tequila doing this whole
Yeah.
thing here, because I had to just go in there and try not to mess up the
Yeah.
design this side of it, but I have to thin it out on the inside.
Yeah.
And that's the hard part. And if you don't have, the passion and the drive, then you're just going to say, screw it. I'm just going to do
Sure.
it this way and send them out.
Yeah.
No?
Do you use a sewing machine to stitch all that in?
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know if I can, let me see if I can move this.
Here's a picture of one, or of yours probably. Dang it.
Yeah.
You move it. You're moving it the wrong way. There we go.
It's 2 pieces covered.
So this is our baby. My dad bought this back in 1950 something.
Wow.
Used.
The big dogs love these because they last forever. 3117 or 3115, and you just can't go wrong with them. If you have one, keep it. Don't sell it, because they stitch beautifully,
Wow.
beautiful. And so, you know, the machines that we do use are the stitchers, the Singer, the Landis. The Landis, we got a Landis for the outsole, and we have a Landis for the inseam. I'm sorry, for the piping on the side seam. Okay, and I don't have them here with me, but
Here's a picture.
yeah, there it is. There it is. And so we have Sanders. The Sanders are probably over 100 years old. The
Wow.
Landis that we have,
That.
one of them is over 100 years old. There it is. Yeah,
That's your dad, isn't it?
that's my dad.
Wow.
Yeah, I miss him dearly. And the other Landis is a Landis L. We have a Landis F. And I don't, I wish I knew the dates on when they came out, but I think it goes F, G. I don't know if there's an H, and then the L, and then the K.
Okay.
And then they came up with the Sudden, I think. After that, maybe, I don't know.
So, but that's pretty much all the machines you use, right?
Right.
Yeah.
I could build you a boot with this right here,
Wow.
and I wouldn't need my Landis machines or even my Singer if it was, if I had to. So everything that you need is in here.
Wow.
Of course, it would take a lot of work to sew the outsoles, to sew the piping side seams,
Mm-hmm.
but it is possible.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's how they used to do it back in the day when
Sure.
1700s or whatever.
Yeah. Before they even had sewing machines.
Right.
Yeah. They still had boots.
And I wish I knew the dates on my Landis machines when they were designed, and I don't have the time to do my research on a lot of stuff that I still, people call me a master bootmaker. You're never a master. There's so much to learn about leathers, about machines, about just the process,
Yeah.
different styles. I forgot to mention Ismael Belman. We call him Marce. He's a specialist, master, top craftsman. And the thing about him is he's so diverse, and that's why I know how to do a matador. I know I know how to do a gallegos or a regal, a lace up. I still can't do a seamless. He does the seamless, but he is so diverse. He's just a natural. You give him something and he figures it out.
Yeah.
He hasn't done it before, he'll figure it out. And so I've been blessed that I've been learning by the best, by him, and I learned by my dad. Of course, he was the best of. you
Yeah.
know.
That's awesome.
So,
You have one of those gallegos down there, don't you? That we can show them.
yeah, well, I
Look
got
at this. I mean, this is
yeah.
awesome. Yeah, and that's what that one is too. This
Yeah.
is kind of the finished
Oh,
product, what it would look like.
I fell in love with that boot.
Yeah.
I almost
Yeah.
didn't send it out to my customer.
If you can see that on the inside, it doesn't have exposed seams because
Right,
it's got this piping running
right,
down the outside, which looks
exactly.
really cool too.
Yes, and it
Yeah.
feels really nice without the seam. And a lot of people nowadays, I think they call it the triad. We call it the Gallegos because I know for a fact who came up with that design, and his name was Jose Gallegos. He was one of the founders of Stallion Boots. Him and 2 or 3 other buddies of his started Stallion, and then Pedro Munoz came in and bought him out.
Gotcha.
But Gallegos was another outstanding top specialist. A lot of the stitches that came out of El Paso, Tony Lama, Ben Miller, from this area, he designed them. He designed them.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, William, I've got a question for you now, because you were telling me you do the measurements for a lot of the customers and then send them to Mark.
Yes,
correct?
sir. Yes, sir.
One of the reasons that a full custom boot has always been on my wish list is because I have what I consider unique feet, where on one foot I've got a high instep, and on my right foot I've got a collapsed arch, which makes for a really flat, low instep foot. But when we were talking earlier, you said that's not quite as unique as I think it is, that everybody's got some kind of issue that's different from foot to foot.
Well, exactly. I hear the same story. My right instep's bigger, my ball of my left foot's bigger. You've got the measurement, the short heel getting in and out of the boot. That's always different. Your arches, it's just, I've measured hundreds of feet, and they're just not alike. Again, it's the same story whether it's his left foot or the right foot.
Yeah.
The ball of my right foot's almost a ½ inch wider than my left. So, and I've got really narrow heels.
Yeah.
I think I've got a AA heel and a AAA heel maybe. So, that's, and that's not uncommon. And people don't realize it until they get a custom pair of boots like Mark makes, and you get something that actually fits your foot.
Yeah.
And your foot goes, oh, that's nice.
I just thought my boots were nice till I tried these.
Well, one of the things that, first things when people put their boots on, is they said, oh, they feel an arch. It's like, oh, I feel this arch.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, well, yeah. That's because you haven't had a boot with an arch. Oh, that's a nice arch.
Yeah.
You don't have a nice arch support. You feel in this arch support and your foot's liking it.
Yeah.
It's good.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's another thing that, an issue I have with my right foot being flatter is from, we were talking off the shelf boots, from brand to brand. One of the biggest sizing issues is the placement of that arch, where if that's in the wrong spot, I just can't wear it, whether the length feels correct or not. If that's, a ½ inch too forward or too far back, it just hurts like hell on my foot.
Well, that's the thing. You need to fit that. You need to fit that arch.
Yeah.
I mean, if you don't fit the arch, everything else is useless.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you don't mind, I
Sure.
just want to add that, you got to fit the last from heel to ball.
Yeah.
And if you do that, then your arch is going to be right where it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
Because, a lot of us, and I guess as you get older, you know, your toes keep getting longer,
Mm-hmm.
your heel it shrinks. And
Right.
so if you go to the store and you buy a 10, and if it just, you bought it because you don't have enough toe area, well, most likely your arch is not going to land where it's supposed to. Whereas,
Right.
you know, you need an 8.5 or a 9, but because your toes are way out there,
Yeah.
you need a 10. And
Mm-hmm.
so that's a big thing on these, where, you know, you can tell where I added to the last. I added to the front,
Mm-hmm.
you know, because this lady had the same problem. You know, she's a 6C on one, and she's a 6.5 B on the other.
Yeah.
And that's the beauty about bespoke handmade boots.
Yeah. That
And
kind of brings me to my next question is, and this is probably more for Mark, but how, like, when people come to you and say, well, you know, in a Lucchese, I'm a 10 double E. Does that really mean anything to you? You know, I mean,
well, yes
really,
and
if you're
no.
getting measurements and then you make the last off those measurements.
Yes and no. I mean, I could probably build them a boot without even seeing what they wear, but I like to see what they wear just to get the pressure points and figure out why they're wearing what they're wearing, you know?
Gotcha.
And because when you stand up, your feet react differently.
Right.
You know, the expansion of one foot might be more than the other. And where it expands, where it
Yeah.
becomes a torta or
That's that's one reason why when someone orders a pair of boots, we would prefer to have a good fitting pair of boots that they wear. So then I send it to Mark, and he looks at that, and he can see exactly how somebody's wearing their boot.
Yeah.
It's very important.
Yeah.
Very important.
I never thought about that,
Yeah,
but that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, you've got the measurements, but the measurements, you know, don't tell the whole story.
Yeah. Maybe if they walk on the inside of their foot over pronate or something like that, you
Exactly.
can see that in the boot.
Yes.
Yeah, that's really makes a lot of sense and something I never even thought about. All right, well, I guess this may be for both of you guys, but what does your clientele look like? You know, is it, I think people think of custom boots as really fancy boots and people, you know, with a lot of money spending a lot of money or whatever, but
Yeah.
you know, do you get a lot of those, or do you get more working cowboys just looking for a long lasting, good fitting boot, or is it somewhere in between?
Well, I'd say from my end, I think probably 2/3 of the boots that Mark has made for me go to cowboys and cowgirls that wear them every day.
Right.
You know, bull hides, lots of bison, rough outs. We have one cowgirl that uses full quill ostrich to work her cows in. But you know, that's most of my customers wear their boots, and I prefer to wear the crap on them.
Yeah.
That's what they're for. That's what they're for.
Yeah.
And but you know, we do have certainly customers that like the fancies. Sure. Because Mark does work like nobody else does. So
yeah,
you know, we're with his expertise and background, I'm able to offer customers something that they just don't see somewhere else because of Mark's expertise and knowledge. You know, it's just an endless knowledge.
Yeah.
I guess, like William is correct on his end. It's a lot of working cowboys, and you know, they understand what a bespoke cowboy boot is, and they appreciate it. You know.
Yeah.
Orders from Santa Fe are, you know, I guess maybe well-off people. They're looking for something Western and dressy for the most part. So I would say it kind of flips around. when I was getting orders from Santa Fe, it would be 2/3, dressy Western, and then 1/3 cowboy.
Yeah.
So, I think because of the diversity of the designs that we can make and how we make them, we can go dressy or we can go, just cowboy.
And that's something good for all you guys to keep in mind is, don't necessarily think of it just as a really over the top fancy dress boot. There's a lot to be said for getting your average everyday looking pair of boots that's just fit perfectly to your foot. Here's a good example of a working cowboy boot here. This is that
Bull high
bull
chocolate.
high? It's a chocolate bull high with what, about an 18-inch top, 16 or
16.
18?
16.
Yeah. So, this is a really nice looking boot, but it's not like that red and gold one that was shown earlier. So, this is a good example. You can get something like this or anything in between, I'm sure. Yeah. So, I think you already answered this earlier. It takes about 40 man hours to make one of your boots, give or take.
Yeah, I get it. At least it just depends, but
Yeah.
something simple, 40 hours. And again,
How about that fancy inlay you just showed? How long does that thing take?
I haven't stopped working since Monday of last week.
Yeah.
So that just gives people an idea that you just can't make a pair of boots like this in a couple of days.
Yeah.
This is a process, and
At the end,
it takes a while.
Yeah.
at the end of the day, when it's all said and done, it's going to be probably around 150, 160 hours on this guy.
Yeah.
And we just like the challenge. Things do go wrong, but we just enjoy making boots. We enjoy the process. Every time that I get a new order, it's exciting. It's just exciting. It's kind of like, I don't know if you guys, I'm sure you have played golf, get up to the tee, next hole. It's exciting because you want to either par it or get a birdie. And of course you end up double bogey or triple bogey.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that's the way it is. I mean, every pair is exciting. I don't care what kind of design, because there's a saying in the boot maker industry, the day you make a perfect boot is the day you're going to quit.
Yeah.
And it never happens.
Right.
It never happens. There's always something that you don't like. Something goes wrong,
Yeah.
Leather, this is a mathematical process, but with leather, you just don't know what's going to happen. You don't know how it's going to react until you start working it.
Yeah.
And then, your back hurts or, something. And
I've always thought of that, because I've heard that before. And to me, that is just as big of an art form as it is to be able to do the fancy inlays that you can do so precise. Just being able to know what to do to shape that leather around to last, when it's giving you difficulty and everything.
It's everything that you can't see that is what's important.
Yeah.
In a bespoke custom boot.
Yeah.
Everything you don't see is what counts.
Yeah.
Because if you get those boots back a couple of years later and they want new outsoles or new heels, you want to be able to take it apart and put it back together again.
Yeah.
And if you do it right the first time, it might not work out,
Yeah.
And so
Why don't you show that elephant and y'all can talk about everything that you did have to do to this. Mark said this is what, about 15 years old?
Well, no, it's only about 5 years old,
Oh,
but
okay.
this is the first
Oh.
pair of boots that Mark made for me, and I'm in water all the time, and you know, I sent it back, and he actually was gonna put a new welt on there,
Yes.
which he did, and then but he ended up having to put new vamps on it, you know, and he put these fancy straps on there, and the again, this is an Italian calfskin top, so it's really soft, but it doesn't wear all that well. So I had to have Mark made me a hot patch on the back there. I love these boots. These are my beasts, and he knows that, and he took care of me.
This is elephant.
That's elephant.
Right. And that is
Elephant is another.
leather.
Yeah.
Elephant is another great leather.
Yeah.
It's getting harder to get now, but yeah, you know, they're made to wear.
Yeah.
To wear and
Yeah.
and the thing is that they do protect your feet. I mean, water is #1 enemy for leather, you know that.
Yeah.
But they wear and they
Yeah.
protect your feet. They keep your foot where it's supposed to be. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
That's another good thing for you guys to remember. You know, it's okay to have a pair or two of dress boots that you baby, but boots are made to be worn. And that's something that took me a while to get over. You know, they're not cheap, so people just don't be scared to wear them. You know, if you get a little scuff here or there, it's not that big of a deal.
no, not at all.
Yeah.
Not at
So,
all.
Mark, do you just work on one pair of boots at a time, or would you have 2 or 3 pairs going?
Well, you know, the plan has always been to do 2 pair a week at a time. You know, having to take care of my dad and my mom was a challenge, and you know, it was just hard to make things work in the shop all the time.
Yeah.
But I think between me and Marce, we could probably do 2 a week at a time.
Yeah.
If it was just me, I think it would just be 1 a week at a time. But of course, I do the top work on one week, and then I do the bottom work the other week, you know, and then let it dry. That's another thing that I'd like to keep the boot and the last for at least 2 weeks, because it, you know, the leather has to create memory around the last.
Right.
You know? So if I had no orders right now, and you order a pair of boots right now, I tell you 3 to 4 weeks, just because of that. Because I don't want to take it out from the last too soon, because then it starts warping. You know, you get those boots, people make them in a day or two, and they ship them out. They get to the customer, and they are just twisted and warped. And so
Gotta let them cure.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
so, like I said, at least 3 weeks
Yeah.
for the drying process.
And I'm sure you typically have a wait list too, correct?
Yes, it varies. Right
I'm
now,
telling-
we
I'm telling people, you know, 5-6 months right now, just to be safe, because you know.
Yeah.
With, you know, he's making, well, again, that you got a boot that takes 150, 160 hours.
Yeah.
And
this boot is
you
not
know,
everything else.
so, you know, so you got a lot of customers that their boots take longer. So again, your time frame is, you know, can change in a hurry.
Yeah.
Because you know, it's all handwork. So,
Sure.
but yeah, 5-6 months is what I tell people. If you can get one quicker, then hallelujah.
Yeah.
You know?
Yes, sir. That's right. That's the way it is.
Well, guys,
And
that's really all the questions that I could come up with. Is there anything else that either of you would like to add or let the people know?
Well, of course, we love your business, but more than anything, we just love people to have a really authentic pair of boots that fit their foot properly. That's what we're looking for. We're looking for, Mark makes an authentic boot, and we're looking for the fit, and that's the most important thing for people. Have that good fit. When they get a good fit, they're going to want another pair. It's not brain surgery. It's just common sense.
Yeah,
Take care of your feet. You're on
Right.
all the time.
absolutely.
Right.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I want to say I respect all the boot makers out there. This is a tough life. My dad used to say this is a very jealous job, in Spanish, of course, meaning you got to be on it, because if you don't move your hands, it ain't going to happen. And it just requires a lot of work.
Yeah,
So anybody that decides to do this, I respect amazingly. Whatever the case is, whether you use machines or not, it doesn't matter. It's still a lot of work, and it's a dying art. And I hope and pray that we find a way to get people, young people, motivated or excited about this. Unfortunately, here in the El Paso area, the factories don't pay well, and I think that's why people just decided not to make boots anymore. I know that the market is out there for bespoke boots, but for as long as I can, I'm going to work on keeping the legacy of a true, authentic, handmade boot going as much as I can, and the legacy of my dad. And you can't go wrong. You just have to be patient. It's going to take a while to get a pair of boots, but it's going to be worth the wait. I guarantee that.
yeah. That's awesome. All right. Well, William, why don't you tell people how to get a hold of you if they're interested or if they just have questions or whatever?
Well, they can, of course, on Facebook, we're Way Out West Boots on Facebook. All my information's on there. You can see tons of pictures. You can see price list, contact information. You can email me at wayoutwestboots@gmail.com. Phone 682-351-6834. We'd just love to talk to you and show you what we offer. Again, these boots are not for everybody, but they should be.
Yeah. They
Yes.
are for everybody if you
Yes.
can talk them into it.
Yes.
Yeah. And I'll put all that information down in the description of this video.
Awesome.
So,
Appreciate it very much.
yeah. All right. Well, hey, thank you guys for taking the time. This was a lot of fun. And I know, you took time out of your busy day to do this. So I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank
I appreciate you very much. Mark, you have a blessed day. I
Yeah.
appreciate you very much, sir.
Yeah. It was awesome to meet you, Mark.
Hey, William. Same here, Nick.
Yeah.
Good to see you.
Okay.
Be safe out there.
Thank you, sir.
Absolutely.
Bye-bye.
All right, guys. Well, that's going to conclude this episode. Thank you for tuning in. Take it easy.